Birdhouses have been around and a part of human culture for as long as human culture has been around. They have become a part of our lives and impact us. Today they come in many different styles and types. They can be ornate or simple, large or small, used for feeding or nesting, shelter or even just decoration. Through the door of the birdhouse is a multitude of hidden possibilities. The history of birdhouses can be traced back to 3 distinctly different places in the world. Because of the nature of the building materials of ancient birdhouses and the constant exposure to elements such as wind and rain, historical research can be difficult. Let's take a look back at the history of birdhouses. First, in the 15th and 16th centuries, birdhouses in the European countries of Belgium and Holland were used to trap birds for food. The eggs and chicks would be gathered from the nests that were built in the house. The birdhouses were typically built from baskets, wood, and clay. Clay eventually became the preferred building material. Next, in Eurasia, the Turkish culture has produced evidence of birdhouses from before the Ottoman Empire in the 1500s. They began as small and simple designs, but progressed to large ornate structures. These houses were built specifically as a refuge for the lonely birds in the sky. The people wanted to protect the birds from the elements of nature. On the American continent, Native Americans would build simple birdhouses out of birch bark and hauled-out gourds. They were designed to shelter the birds from storms. They were also places for the birds to breed and multiply. These birdhouses could have also helped the Native Americans by acting as scarecrows. This tradition was passed on to the English and German immigrants that settled in America. Today, birdhouses can be made from a variety of materials and designed and produced by a variety of people. A schoolchild, or even a famous designer, can each create their own birdhouse for their own needs and reasons. Let's now focus on one of those famous designers, Zaha Hadid. Zaha is an Iraqi-British architect and designer. She is known in the design world as being a bit of a diva. You can get a sense of that in most of her portraits. Zaha was born on October 31st, 1950, in Baghdad, Iraq. She received a degree in mathematics from the American University of Beirut. Zaha then studied at the Architectural Association School of Architecture in London. In 1980, she established her own London-based practice. She has taught at many prestigious universities around the world. At first, Zaha was more wanted for her ideas and thought process than for any of her actual designs. People didn't believe that her designs would actually work or could be built. Today, she is well revered and in the forefront of architectural design. Her modern, cutting-edge philosophies have helped her to push the boundaries of architecture and design. Today, her firm employs 350 people and has handled 950 projects in over 44 countries. Zaha Hadid's work can be described as Baroque modernism. She shatters both the classically formal, rule-bound modernism of Mies van der Rohe and Le Corbusier and the old rules of space, walls, ceilings, front and back, right angles. She then reassembles them in what she calls a new, fluid kind of spatiality, of multiple perspective points and fragmented geometry, designed to embody the chaotic fluidity of modern life. In her bio on her website, it says, all her work builds on over 30 years of experience in the interrelated fields of urbanism, architecture, and design. Her interest lies in the rigorous interface between architecture, landscape, geology, and experimentation with cutting-edge technologies. Zaha Hadid uses impressionistic, abstract paintings that are designed to get across the feeling of her spaces. She explains that conventional architectural drawings could never convey the feel of her radical, fluid spaces, but paintings could. However, it took a lot of time for people to understand them and understand the way that she thinks and conveys her ideas. Zaha's philosophies on architecture and design can be summarized by saying that her designs and work are distinctly futuristic and characterized by the powerful curving forms of her elongated structures, with multiple perspective points and fragmented geometry to evoke the chaos of modern life. A prime example of her architectural work is the Lois and Richard Rosenthal Center for Contemporary Art in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is said about the building that an urban carpet leads pedestrians into and through the interior space via a gentle slope, which becomes, in turn, a wall, ramp, walkway, and even an artificial park space. An excellent example of her product design is the liquid glacial table. It is said about the table that the elementary geometry of the flat tabletop appears transformed from static to fluid by the subtle waves and ripples evident below the surface, while the table's legs seem to pour from the horizontal in an intense vortex of water frozen in time. So what kind of birdhouse would Zaha Hadid design and build? And also, why would she design and build a birdhouse? Why not? By designing a birdhouse, she can show her work to more of the world through smaller buildings. She does design products, so why not a birdhouse? They're almost as much of a staple in human life as a table is. For inspiration in designing this birdhouse, I looked towards Zaha Hadid's philosophies and current structures. From her buildings and other futuristic buildings, I was led to look into everything faceted, from diamonds to stools, from origami to mirrors, from jewelry to dinnerware. Leaning in this direction, I began to sketch. I sketched birdhouse ideas in Zaha Hadid's distinct style, trying to capture the feeling of each idea. I was eventually drawn to more hanging, twisted diamond shapes. I chose to move in this direction because of how it incorporates her philosophy of being distinctly futuristic and being characterized with multiple perspective points and fragmented geometry. In this birdhouse, there are 8 distinct sides. The 3 top faces are clear plexiglass, and the other 6 are a solid colored plastic. The house is hung from a triangular opening in the top. The birds enter and exit the house from a perch with a trapezoidal opening. This design embodies Zaha Hadid's ideas of having fragmented geometry within a piece and also being distinctly futuristic. As Zaha Hadid herself said, architecture is really about well-being. I think that people want to feel good in a space. On the one hand, it's about shelter, but it's also about pleasure.